Hello, and welcome back to E.G. the Virgo, an unusual kind that 1%, one life, 5 generations. Volume 1, based on actual experiences and theories. Now, this, of course, as usual, our stories includes entertaining fictional and non-fictional images, animation, videos, and music by artists and photographers unrelated and in no way were created for this particular story or documentary. Some names, dates, and times were changed to protect the privacy and identities of the characters within the story. And now, without further ado, let us get into our new chapter. But actually, we got to go through our one little thing here, and you know what that is? Our disclaimer. Okay, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Our source is Circular 92, Copyright Law of the U.S. 17 U.S.C. Section 107. Okay, now that we got that out the way, we're going into a little short story again about our favorite little character named E. And remember, these little journeys that E is going on, or these little adventures, they're not just journeys and adventures. They are to show you how certain things happen to people that normally don't happen to people. And that's why it's called an unusual kind, that 1%. And it only happens to 1% of the people. And it makes you wonder, are these people chosen in life for specific things, to have things done, as this is why they have this 1% going on? And these things have been going on with them since they were pretty much born. And then in order to understand that, like I said, we had to go all the way back and start from the great-grandparents and move on up to our character E. So what we're going to do is get into E's next story here. Now, E's next story is chapter 15. We're out of here, okay? And this is going to open up. This chapter is going to be very brief, very short, because, like I said, not all incidences or experiences that she may have experienced or encountered have to be long and drawn out. No, some of them are just short and brief, and that's just what it is. All right, so let's go on here and see what we could do. A few months later, E's mother decided to move to another house. E was very happy to be leaving that house because that meant she wouldn't have to continue hearing those unexplained footsteps coming up the staircase every night, preventing her from sleeping most of the time. Later on in E's adulthood, E would discover, or shall we say learn, that the area where they lived in that house, where E used to hear the footsteps, was known to many, according to the internet, as being one of her state's most supposedly haunted areas. It was never clear to E why those homes had unexplainable activity going on with them, but people still live there in those same houses today. But E would never live in those homes again, no matter what. So E's mother and them they never knew why, because they weren't the only ones in that neighborhood experiencing things. So not sure what was going on with the ground that development of houses were built on. But I can tell you that that area And pretty much that state was known for their colonial and Victorian style ways, which wasn't, how could we say, wasn't too pleasant for a lot of other people who lived in that state back in that time. So you never know what kind of negative activity or phenomenon was going on in that area for more than one house in that area to be experiencing these things. But we will get into more just about what's going on with E. With E, now remember, as we get into this, she's going to be the one that you're going to see going through experiencing certain things that not everybody else might be hearing or experiencing. And also, after E became a young adult, just kind of moving a little ahead here, E's mother finally admitted to her that she knew what E was hearing each night in their old house was real. And that was one of the reasons why she would make sure to say the Lord's Prayer each night with E and her siblings before they went to bed. It also was another reason why E's mother moved to another home. Additionally, E's mother also admitted she had begun trying to find another place to live not long after they had moved in their old house. At the time, E's mother didn't want an 8-year-old to actually feed into anything unexplainable and become consumed by it, just by the thought of it. E's mother also mentioned that's why they only lived in that house for no more than about 1 year. And E's mother personally felt even a year was too long in a house like their old one.
And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
And that was one of the favorite prayers that E's mother would say along with her siblings. Her and her siblings, they would all get on their knees in front of their beds and they would recite the Lord's Prayer. And that is the Lord's Prayer. Moving day was the best for E, and also lots of fun for her siblings. They really was looking forward to a new house. But then again, who's not? Every time you get a new house, you're always looking forward to one. But especially when you're moving out of one that seems to have an extra energy in there that nobody really welcomed, or put it this way, E never welcomed it. And they are also getting ready for a new home, so this is the best date ever for them. After such a heart-to-heart discussion, E's mother began teaching E how to better handle certain gifts and abilities, because E always wondered why the other family members didn't hear, or shall we say appear not to hear or experience anything that she was hearing and experiencing. E's mother further explained to her that there are some who can see, there are some who can hear, but in very rare cases, there are some who can see and hear. And that's why other family members who also stayed in the home with them at the time, weren't affected as she and E were. However, E's mother still couldn't offer an explanation for their family dog dying other than poisoning. She also couldn't offer an explanation for E's description of what she had seen from the bathroom window of their old house and the lights in the sky. Nevertheless, E was happy enough to just be able to leave all that unexplained stuff behind and move on with her life. And that is great because E's mother realized that E had a extra sensibility. And this is why she was able to tap into things unknowingly, able to do it without trying. Her senses just tuned right into it. And her mother was very, very, how can we put it, knowledgeable of it, aware of it. And she did the right thing by not allowing E to kind of feed into it, and then lose focus of school and the normal childhood life. So it was really good that her mother later explained that to her, and why other family members didn't appear to experience the same things that she was experiencing. But nevertheless, again, she was able to leave all that unexplained stuff behind so they can move on to another house. You know, I would imagine those footsteps that E was hearing almost every night on her staircase, that would walk up to her bedroom door, she said, and would just stand there. It appeared to just stop at her door, but she saw nothing in her doorway. I assume that would be the hardest thing for me if I was a child like her. It would be hard for me as an adult, but I digress. And with that being said, and E&M has finally moved to a new house, and she is just ecstatic, saying, bye, we are out of here. We are so out of this house. And thank you again for tuning in to E.G. the Virgo, an unusual kind, that 1%. And again, we will pick up on our next chapter, which is chapter 16. And that one's going to be quite an experience. It will become to be quite an experience for a child of her age. So with that being said, and without further ado, and until next time, you all stay blessed. And whatever time zone you're on, have a good day.